Major funding for NJTV News is provided in part by the members of the New Jersey Education Association, making public schools great for every child, and PSE&G. We make things work for communities.
Tonight on NJTV News, a fight over state finances.
Senate President Steve Sweeney wants a constitutional amendment to change the way state revenues are certified. Is it policy or politics?
The state attorney general meets with Jersey City officials to iron out just who it is that can decriminalize marijuana.
New Jersey lawmakers call the Trump administration barbaric and bullies. It's all over federal funding and immigration.
Plus $1 million boon for Bayonne in federal grants to keep ships rolling in, and millions of dollars rolling into the Meadowlands racetrack in under 2 weeks. Was it just good timing? Those stories and more next on NJTV News.
Live from the Agnes Varus NJTV studio at 2 Gateway Center in Newark, this is NJTV News with Mary Alice Williams.
Hello, thank you for joining us. In the escalating conflict between the Trump administration and local leaders over immigration enforcement, the federal Justice Department is withholding millions of dollars from cities that aren't helping hand over unauthorized immigrants to ICE. The state has already sued to pry back its share of the federal funds, some $4 million. Now the city of Newark is punching back too. Leah Mishkin reports.
It's a fight that's been going on for nearly a year.
We raise our voices against what the Trump administration is trying to do, really trying to bully us into supporting policies that we outright disagree with here in the city of Newark.
This is not just for Newark, it's for all the Newarks across America.
In July of last year, Attorney General Sessions made the announcement the department would only give funding from the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program to cities and states that, quote, comply with federal law, allow federal immigration access to detention facilities, and provide 48 hours notice before they release an illegal alien wanted by federal authorities. Adding, quote, these long overdue requirements will help us take down MS-13 and other violent transnational gangs and make our country safer.
We are not going to stand by and acquiesce in the sanctuary cities to nullify federal immigration law if they want to receive federal grants. I don't want to defund any jurisdiction, cities, states, but we want them to rethink. We want them to change their policies and start to cooperate with our ICE officers, whose lives can be at risk.
The over $174 million in federal funds is money states use for various programs, from law enforcement to crime prevention and education to drug treatment and enforcement.
That helped us tremendously with technology and increased security for around the courthouse, around the city, around our parks, to make sure that our folks don't look over their shoulders while they're enjoying our facilities.
Lawmakers have sent several letters to the Trump administration in the past year to release the funds, writing, quote, delaying these funds is punishing the law enforcement officers on the ground, doing their jobs and trying to keep their communities safe.
The law enforcement officers, police, they need to be left alone.
What in God's name are they thinking?
But the president says the safety of American citizens is his highest duty, and that's why he has called on Congress to block the funds.
Lawless sanctuary jurisdictions are nullifying federal law, obstructing immigration enforcement, and releasing thousands of criminal aliens into U.S. communities to prey on innocent victims. It's absolutely terrible. We want our cities to be sanctuaries for Americans, not safe havens for criminals.
New Jersey's Attorney General has joined several other states in suing the Department of Justice over the withholding of the funds, calling the move unconstitutional.
This money not only is there, it's been committed to these towns. And the government has interceded. Congress did not create this grant program to be held conditionally unless states gave in to the federal extortion.
We asked why this press conference was called a year after the decision was made, and Congressman Payne said they have to let the DOJ know they haven't forgotten and they're going to continue to fight for the funds. In Newark, Leah Mishkin, NJTV News.
Union activities top the state of New Jersey business. Rhonda Schaffler's off today. Here with all the business news is Joanna Gagas. Joanna?
Mary Alice, one kitchen company is feeling the heat. Lifetime Brands, the company that makes KitchenAid and Mikasa, has come under fire for allegedly firing 2 employees who attempted to join a union. The company was accused of causing, quote, irreparable harm by sending the message that employees unionizing could end in termination, according to court papers. A U.S. District Court judge ordered Lifetime Brands to reinstate the fired employees and to stop interrogating all employees about their union support. The temporary injunction also ordered the company to stop offering promotions for employees who would withdraw their union support. Love the sinner, tax the sin? New Jersey's latest tax plan to institute a so-called sin tax on things like legalized sports betting and e-cigarettes may not raise real revenue. That according to a report by the Pew Charitable Trust that analyzed the tax in other states and found revenues offered only short-term economic boosts. The report warned states to be cautious when relying on sin taxes to fund recurring budget expenses, especially in new markets like marijuana that really have limited data. But one benefit for the tax, they can help support public health objectives like reducing smoking. Stockton University's Atlantic City campus has been designated as a university district. The designation will help Stockton invest in and develop its academic programs within the city. Chief Operating Officer Brian Jackson said the university sees this as a way to help stimulate economic development in the community, and that includes attracting new residents to the city. The University District extends from Sovereign Ave to Dover Ave and from the boardwalk to inside the thoroughfare. And across the Albany Avenue Bridge, it runs from Albany and Trenton Aves to West End Ave and almost 50 acres in Bader Field. The area connects the Tourism District and the Bader Field District. And finally, a possible salmonella contamination has caused a recall of Ritz crackers. The Hanover, New Jersey-based company is voluntarily recalling 16 varieties of its Ritz cracker sandwiches and its Ritz Bits. The products contained whey powder that its suppliers recalled due to potential salmonella contamination. Mondelez Global says no illnesses have been reported. Salmonella symptoms include fever, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea that can be serious and even deadly in young people and the elderly or those with a weak immune system. Anyone experiencing these symptoms should please contact their healthcare provider. On Wall Street, stocks closed mixed, and those are your top business stories.
Support for the Business Report is provided by SJ Magazine, the heart and soul of South Jersey, online at sjmagazine.net.
Will Jersey City's declaration to decriminalize marijuana remain in force? It only went into effect last week. This week, the state attorney general is saying not so fast. Senior correspondent David Cruz reports.
Jersey City Mayor Steve Fulop's unilateral decision to instruct the city's prosecutor to decriminalize marijuana in his city was met with a swift rebuke from State Attorney General Gurbir Grewal. In a letter noteworthy for its not quite collegial tone, Grewal pointedly instructed municipal prosecutor Jake Hudnut to stay in his lane. You do not have the legal authority to decriminalize marijuana. The criminal laws of this state are not determined by municipal prosecutors based on recent public opinion polling. And I encourage you to contact Prosecutor Suarez or my office if you have any questions about the duties of your office. Ouch. That prompted a meeting between Grewal and Hudnut today, even as the mayor continued to make the rounds of local TV news shows to promote the new policy. The mayor says this is about social justice, pointing out that people of color are 3 times as likely to face arrest for small amounts of marijuana than their white counterparts. The mayor publicly shook his head at the state intervention, especially in the absence of any action from state lawmakers. After the meeting, which Fulop did not attend, none of the parties made themselves available for comment despite repeated requests, although a source did say that they had come to an understanding and were working out details on how to proceed.
Regardless of the outcome of today's meeting, until the legislature comes up with a decriminalization or legalization bill, it's not unlikely to think that other municipalities may decide to take the matter into their own hands. In Jersey City, I'm David Cruz, NJTV News.
$1 million news for the Bayonne dry dock. It's nearly 400 subcontractors and 280 full-time workers, roughly 90% of whom come from local communities. The largest dry dock in the Northeast has just received a major small shipyard grant to modernize its operations. The federal Department of Transportation funding was announced by New Jersey senior U.S. Senator Bob Menendez.
For Bayonne Dry Dock, this federal investment of more than $1 million will help the site upgrade its capabilities, compete for more contracts, and continue providing state-of-the-art service to some of the largest commercial and naval vessels around. They do a lot of work for the U.S. Navy, which is ultimately part of our national security system. So they are part of making sure that these ships can continue to operate as they defend us across the globe.
Another step toward reforming municipal courts. The state judiciary is moving to clear away close to 790,000 old bench warrants for minor offenses dating back at least 15 years, more than 2/3 of them for parking tickets. The Supreme Court Committee on Municipal Court Operations, Fines, and Fees released a report last week showing municipal courts last year collected some $400 million in fines, much of it funneled to city coffers. Supreme Court Chief Justice Stuart Rabner has created a panel of 3 assignment judges who will hold hearings to ascertain whether any of the outstanding warrants should remain in force. An anonymous gesture of gratitude. That tops tonight's Garden State Express. Our first stop, Toms River, where 5 members of the first aid squad, just off the overnight shift, had polished off a hearty breakfast at the local IHOP when they were paid back for their service. A hefty bill paid in full with a note saying, "Thank you for all you do," and signed, "Recovering Addict." In an attempt to personally thank the generous woman, the rescue squad posted about the surprise gesture on Facebook. It received hundreds of shares and likes, but no hint of their benefactor's identity. Next to Edison, where cats and the people who love them were attracted to the 82nd annual Garden State Cat Show and Adopt-a-thon to see purebreds like the Maine Coon cat and the Bombay purebred, a hybrid created by breeding a sable Burmese with a black American Shorthair. Though about 50% of dogs in the United States are pedigreed, just 5% of cats are, and only about 2% are registered pedigreed breeds. The nonprofit Garden State Cat Club supports local humane societies, no-kill shelters, pet visitation programs for nursing homes, and funds cat health studies all over the world to make sure they live 9 healthy lives. Finally, Margate, where Lucy the elephant has outlived her own lifespan. She's 137 years old, though looks somewhat younger, partly due to an annual birthday party fundraiser. Well, this year's drew hundreds of people who got to ride on a trackless train a few blocks from Decatur to Cedar Grove Avenues, the same route Lucy took in 1970 to get where she's standing now. All the money made from birthday party activities, food, games, and prizes will help offset operating costs and capital improvements to keep the historic landmark rocking 137 and beyond. And that's the Garden State Express for Monday, July 23rd. Something up in your neighborhood? Tip us off. In Trenton, a power play. New Jersey's governor has the constitutional power to project how much tax revenue comes in to determine how much gets spent. Now, the state Senate president is moving to strip Murphy of that power. Chief political correspondent Michael Aaron reports on the issue and what's possibly behind it.
Senate President Steve Sweeney thinks the state can do a better job of forecasting and certifying revenue Under the Constitution of 1947, the governor alone makes that annual certification. Sweeney wants to amend the Constitution to create a 3-person revenue certification board. It would consist of the state treasurer, the Office of Legislative Services Revenue and Finance Officer, and a 3rd person of their choosing.
It's a situation where we've had administrations, and I'm not blaming this administration. There's been previous administrations where they make the numbers work to the way they want to make them work. We need to know what the numbers really are at each year when we do our budgeting. It's important to have a process that everyone buys into.
As the Senate Budget Committee heard testimony about the proposal today, it was hard to escape the idea there is a political component to Sweeney's plan. He and Governor Murphy just came through a very contentious budget process, and this constitutional amendment would dilute the governor's authority going forward. Isn't this a slap at the power of the governor?
No, not at all. In fact, if I'm the governor, I would want this, because you can't argue the numbers if you have a consensus of independent between the legislative body, an independent individual, and the governor. Then you have a consensus built around real projections.
An expert from the Volcker Alliance, a good government group, backed Sweeney up. He gave a PowerPoint presentation on how other states forecast and certify revenue.
Unlike 28 other states, by our count, New Jersey does not use a consensus of forecasts from the governor's office, legislative leaders, and outside experts to build an estimate of revenue to include in the general fund budget. Instead, the governor's proposed budget includes the chief executive's estimate of resources available for the upcoming fiscal year.
The governor's office issued a statement disagreeing with Sweeney. The executive branch is best positioned to certify revenues because it has access to information, including tax data, that is unavailable to other entities, it said. Governor Murphy feels that it is unwise to disrupt the separation of powers that has existed in this area for over 70 years. Sweeney says OLS has good information too, and that legislators want to work with the governor.
Look, we're partners. We're partners. We want to continue to be partners, and we think we should be part of the scoring process.
He insists it's not about the rivalry between him and Murphy.
This is not a shot at him. It's a shot at let's modernize the way we predict our revenue forecasts.
To get a constitutional amendment onto this year's fall ballot, the legislature must act within the next few weeks. Veteran activist Gordon McInnes told the committee that's too fast.
In the end, we disagree about the timing, not about the content, and the timing is important.
We just had a bad budget with numbers we don't know are real or not real. And this is not, listen, there's many budgets like that. You know, we've been through it. It's time to fix the process, Gordon.
Another State House long-timer applauded the move.
No governor should yield to the temptation of inflating figures or conflating figures for a political whim or some kind of agenda.
The committee deferred action. If you thought the power struggle between Sweeney and Murphy ended with the budget compromise, that doesn't appear to be the case. This attempt to take away the governor's power to certify revenue looks like only the latest manifestation. At the State House, I'm Michael Aaron, NJTV News.
A lifelong legacy in memory of a child whose life spanned just 27 months. Michael Hill got a tour of Jake's Place.
Jake's Place is the first inclusive playground in New Jersey, built in 2011 over 3 days, with lots of donations of money, time, and labor. It accommodates children with and without disabilities.
All playgrounds today are ADA compliant, which means that a child in a wheelchair, for instance, can wheel up to it and look at it. That means that they have access, but they can't play on it. Jake couldn't play on any playground, and he wanted to do his physical therapy every day on a playground.
Jim and Lynn Cummings were the grandparents of Jacob Cummings Nasto. He was born with a heart ailment that took his life at 2.5 years. His mother conceived of Jake's Place, and his family worked tirelessly to fundraise and partner and make the dream a reality.
There's nothing to replace a loss of a child.
Nothing.
There's not anything that replaces the loss of anyone you love, right? But when you see all these happy, smiling children, it's very life-giving to us. And every one of these kids represents our grandson. So it's a wonderful tribute to his memory.
We hear him laughing here all the time. We can hear him laughing. He would have loved this place. I've actually seen kids in wheelchairs. They have such strong upper body strength that they pull themselves onto this and pull themselves up on the rock.
The Cummings gave NJTV News a tour, show and tell style, of Jake's Place, with its ramp for children and adults on crutches or in wheelchairs. Long and winding, it leads to several fun stops.
You're doing it.
Lynn Cummings helps these playmates on the Sway Fun. It simulates a boat on the water.
An all-inclusive playground is not just about the play part of it. It's really about all of the movements that help the brain to develop. It helps the motor skills to develop.
And there's a transfer point up there so somebody in a wheelchair can get onto the slide.
Other features, wheelchair height fun boards with a xylophone and kaleidoscope on one side, the alphabet on the opposite, and a buddy station where a wheelchair can fit in the middle for play. Arthur Aston, the executive director of the nonprofit Build Jake's Place, was born with spina bifida.
To see something like this, an accessible playground where all children can play together, is just amazing. It's something that I never thought that I would see in my lifetime.
Jake's Place inspired other advocates to rebuild a park with inclusive access in Barrington this month. This summer, the Build Jake's Place nonprofit is building on its success, another inclusive playground in Delran in Burlington County. The Cummings and advocates say all 21 counties should have at least one, and they lobbied and educated lawmakers who agreed. The Jake's Law bill sailed through the Assembly and Senate with no opposition. It would require state agencies to set guidelines and standards that exceed those of the Federal Americans with Disabilities Act. If signed into law, counties will be able to apply for and dip into the same Green Acres Fund that they already do for their parks and recreation projects to build their own versions of Jake's Place.
This is something that is something that we should be doing as a state, and I am very pleased to know that I have colleagues that also agree with this.
Jake's Place costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to build, but parents in the park say it's worth every penny.
Kids love it, it's exciting, and we love it because it's all fenced in and everyone can play.
The parents are really involved, with the guardians who are here watching after the kids. So I found myself like swinging somebody else on
Isn't that great?
Yeah, and we're here quite often. One young man was in the Sway Fun, and I walked up to him and his aide was crying, and I said, is there something wrong? Can I help you? And she said, I've been his aide for 3 years, I've never seen him laugh.
The Cummings say those laughs sometimes come by the school busloads and from folks out of state. Some think they even have to pay. No admission here, just lots of fun and learning for all kids.
And I think having a law, Jake's Law, helps us to be able to spread that kind of an educational message of how important this is. Not because you didn't necessarily care, but because you just didn't know.
In Cherry Hill, Michael Hill, NJTV News.
And now some noteworthy facts that help you know Jersey. The current New Jersey state constitution was drafted in 1947. New Jersey would be the 10th state to legalize recreational marijuana. New Jersey's Bayonne Dry Dock is the largest in New York Harbor, and New Jersey's Lucy the Elephant is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. If there's someone who you'd like to get to know Jersey, share. Use #KnowJersey. Tomorrow on NJTV News, Newark's positioned to take the lead in voice technology. Alexa, you listening? To share any story you've seen tonight, go to njtvnews.org. I'm Mary Alice Williams. For all the men and women of NJTV News, thank you for being here. See you tomorrow.
RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together. NJM Insurance Group, serving the insurance needs of New Jersey residents and businesses for more than 100 years. And Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, an independent licensee of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association.
NJM Insurance Company has been serving New Jersey policyholders for more than 100 years. But just who are NJM's policyholders? They're the men and women who keep the Garden State growing. Business leaders, the caretakers of our historic landmarks, and the custodians of our public safety. The people who make our state a great place to call home. NJM, we've got New Jersey covered.
I'm fighting cancer.
I'm fighting cancer.
I am fighting cancer.
I fight every day.
Every night.
Every hour.
Every minute. And every second.
RWJ Barnabas Health, together with the Rutgers Cancer Institute of New Jersey, brings the latest research, treatments, and clinical trials close to home.
We're fighting cancer.
And I'm not fighting alone.
RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's beat cancer together.
Have some water.
Look at these kids.
There, how are you?
What do you see? I see myself. I became an ESL teacher to give my students what I wanted when I came to this country. The opportunity to learn, to dream, to achieve, a chance to belong and to be an American. My name is Julia Toriani Crompton, and I'm proud to be an NJEA member.